go ahead and jump into it, guys. The blind bands have begun. We have Swindlemelons and crew, Gary Johnson, 2012, on the Legion side. And TPS prices, actually, again, I think they switched up some drafters yet again. But we have Pika on the Hellborn. And what do you know? Lo and behold, Keeper of the Forest is blind band, as well as that Fade, who is also a very strong first pick material if you are that Legion side.
Well, there is an interesting note. You mentioned TPS Priceless. He's overtaking as the captain for this game, but look at Gordop is not here. Own Me actually stepping in place of Gordop. So of course he's also part of their team as part of their. I think they even have 7 players on their roster overall.
Right.
But he's going to be the one stepping in place of Gordop here. So I'm not sure in the exact situation. Don't know if he just had to go or maybe they just want to sub him in to try something different. But this is a case though of a new captain. As you talked about, you know it is hard to argue against that does hurt a team. I mean, to have one captain that just always does your drafts, always does your picks, or at least is making the ultimate decision, it seems like that's a lot more effective than, going from one captain to another, especially mid-series. So you do got to wonder what that's going to be like here going into game number 3. But, again, it's one game at a time. So the blind bands and Infora Tundra for Legion Team Keeper, the Forced and Fade coming out from Pikachu. So yeah, can't be too surprised about that. Yeah, and I even made a post, actually. I was they wanted me to give a little bit of a statement on this article called Team Building 101. If you guys want to check it out, it's on hontour.com under the news section right there. But I talked about that as well, as having a drafter that, okay, first of all, you need just one person drafting. In my opinion, switching it up, then you have no real strategy. You need that one person to deliberate and really have the final say, put his foot down, because when you're a drafter, you have, I know from experience, you have a lot of different ideas coming in. Well, I want to play this. Well, this will do well. There's just too many ideas to think about. Ultimately, you have to zone out and think about what you think is the best and take that responsibility. If you lose and the draft is bad, you have to sit back and take the responsibility and was like, okay, I did something wrong. I'll hear some input from you guys and then try to refine my drafting for next time. But I think that is a big deal. Again, that article, guys, is on hontour.com if you want to check that out. But anyway, as far as the game goes, the locks are finished. We have Ophelia, Glacius, Tempest, Pebbles, Parasite, and Engineer. So Engineer kind of floating around in all games. Yeah, so just like last game as well, I mean, the lock pool, I could see any 6 of those heroes really being picked up. The first game was the real fun one. We had some more trollish style. But here we are in game number 3. Again, Pikachu down 2-0 against Gary Johnson 2012. So obviously they're going to do everything they can here to, at the very least, stay alive. They will officially, though, need to win 3 games in a row here if they want to be going to DreamHack win in 2012. So you could taste victory, I'm sure, if you're v0te. But on that side of the token, if you're v0te, you don't want to get too ahead of yourselves. I mean, the last thing you want to do is feel so confident that you've already got it in the bag and then, fall apart because of that. So not to say that they would do that, but just something to keep in mind. So the banning's happening here. We got Dark Liddy, Silhouette, Jeraziah, and Torturer so far. So even Torturer being respected as a possible ban-worthy hero, but, Swindlemelons is known as a torture kind of guy. And we did see him last game, of course, played by Pikachu. Unfortunately, didn't have the greatest performance, though, for his team. But the ban's finishing up. Polywalk Priest coming up from v0te, and the final ban going to be by TPS Prices. We'll see what it is.
Rampage. I don't know.
Rampage.
I don't know. Yeah, Polywog Priest seems to be a hero that Swindlemelons just does not want to go against for whatever reason. Obviously, it's a very strong pusher, and with that ward trap, it's pretty much you can kill anybody if you get it. Yeah. And it's not the most, not the easiest thing in the world to get, but it's a very easy hero to play in general. There's the final ban. It actually is that Wild Soul. They picked it up twice in a row and just decided it's not working out for us, even though I still think it's a very strong hero. It's not working out for us. We need to try something different. We also maybe have the idea that v0te can pick Wild Soul, and they are in that first position, and they do go ahead and ban that out. The first pick coming out for Swindlemelons, as he has, I'm sure, a lot of decision here and a lot of things to think about. And I was actually eyeing that Bubbles. I was thinking either Bubbles or a Luna, but does go with that Bubbles. Very strong hero in general. Great initiation with that Kelp Field. Just the fast Shell Surf and Silence provides a lot of burst damage, and also one of the more popular suicide heroes right now. Yeah, definitely not a surprise to see there. I would think Magnus also be possibly a hero that they can regard, especially with Engineer in that lock pool. But we'll see, perhaps as this advances on. Moraxis is going to be the first pick, though, coming out from Pikachu as a response. And now their next pick, we'll see again what TPS Priceless this time around. A Luna. Who he chooses to go. You think a Luna, of course, being there on the board, they can use a support. And Glacius being locked, obviously there's a chance that he could be first pick, so
you want to make sure that you get at least one. Granted, Engineer's also there, but Aluna is pretty damn powerful, so.
Yeah, the other scary thing, though, is this relationship between Ophelia and Glacius both in lock. So what do? If you're Legion, do you just say, screw it, I want to pick, actually it's Wretched Hag, but you say, screw it, I just want to pick Ophelia, he's that good, I don't care if Glacius counters him. Or do you say, I'm going to first pick Glacius, and then you can't really get Ophelia, but I still can.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting relationship there with Ophelia and Glacius. Of course, Ophelia was locked, and then right away Glacius was locked right after that by TPS Priceless. But they're going to go with the Wretched Hag, and a hero that's been seeing a little bit more play here in the last week or so. And it's a strong overall hero. Not the strongest in the laning phase, but definitely brings a lot to the table in that mid to late game.
Now we see Tremble being locked, or not locked, but right-clicked over here by Keizu. And this is the first game where he actually isn't banned. He was even blind banned last game, of course, by Pikachu. I respected that much. But this time he made it through both the locking and the banning stage. Chance to be picked up here from v0te. Will the Swinomelons oblige here, or will Keizu have to play something else? Again, they're up 2-0, so you could think of it from that point of view as well, where, you know, maybe this won't be the perfect strat setup, but we could try something and see if it works. And not the biggest deal if we happen to lose one of these games, but they are going to go with Tremble. And again, not to say that it is a bad strat, because as we keep talking about, Keizu does play a very, very good Tremble. And then Pyromancer is actually going to be the follow-up from v0te, so a little bit different there.
I was just thinking for a second, I was like, well, Tremble's not the greatest against Meraxis, and it's not the greatest against well, actually, Tremble's not that bad against Meraxis. It's actually the slow on its pet is okay, but it doesn't slow nearly as much as it used to. And Tremble's not that good against Hag, but I was thinking, they need burst damage for Hag, and then they pick Pyro. I'm like, okay, well, they got their burst. Bubbles is, of course, a very strong hero against Hag. That's why I was kind of a little taken back when Hag was picked. The silence, the Kelp Field makes it very easy to get proper ganks on a Hag, especially when you get that portal key up on Bubbles. So they're going to go with the Pyro. They definitely have the burst now, and it's kind of a signature hero, I want to say, for Swinomelons. He really does like that hero. They do go with a Plague Rider, actually, for Team Pika. Not the hugest fan, but we'll have to see what they do in the lock pick phase.
Yeah. And this is kind of interesting because right now neither team has a powerful go-to support. I mean, sure, Plague Rider kind of can be. I mean, usually you like to play him into more of a suicide role, but he can definitely play that suicide role. But you look at the Legion side, I mean, unless you're running a support Pyromancer, they don't have that right now. But there is both Engineer and Glacius in that pool, so it's just a matter of we'll see, you know, how v0te regards those two, whether they just want to go with something like an Ophelia instead. They are going to go with Glacius, though, as their pick. So now Pikachu, you know, I'm thinking maybe Engineer for that support role. Maybe they'll just go with Plague Rider and give it to him.
I thought Glacius would have been snap-picked by Legion, actually. You definitely need that support there, and now that frees you up to actually maybe still take that Ophelia, because if you're the Hellborn side, you don't necessarily want Ophelia. I think they're going to have to take Engineer for one, and then possibly one of those junglers, maybe Tempest, I think would probably be the best decision here. So I'm hoping they go Engineer Tempest. It would be very strong. Obviously, Ophelia is not the strongest hero as far as if you want to gank against a Glacius. But good pickup by v0te. I really do hope, for their sake, they go Engineer and Tempest. You're going to be able to dual lane mid with a Meraxis Engineer, possibly maybe go top. Wretched Hag as a solo. They do go Tempest. That's good for them. I think it's much stronger in this game. And actually, there's not very many hard counters on this Legion side to Tempest as far as canceling that ultimate. You have maybe Bubbles with that Kelp Field. Glacius can kind of do it if the ultimate's in an awkward position to where it's like kind of in front of him. But they go Pebbles, actually. So kind of interesting. We're probably going to see then that means a dual lane Plague Rider Meraxis bottom, Wretched Hag probably top, and then a Pebbles mid. So not the biggest fan of that, actually. But we'll have to wait and see. Of course, Ophelia is picked with v0te's lineup, and it rounds it off very nicely.
Yeah, interesting stuff there, definitely. I thought for sure it was going to be the Engineer. And, you know, just looking at the lineup, too, is on top of that, I mean, the AoE synergy would just been superb. It still definitely is. I mean, even without the Engineer, of course, but that would have really just finished it off. So that was the attractive thing for me, at least. But Pikachu decides against that, and they do go with, looks like Probus is going to be playing that Pebbles. So we'll see how it works out this time around. The Good Luck Cat phones are given out. We're loading into the game now. What is, again, game number 3. Pikachu, their tournament lives are literally on the line here. If they want to go to DreamHack Winter 2012, they need to stay alive with a victory. If v0te was to win, a.k.a. Gary Johnson 2012, they will be going to win DreamHack Winter 2012. well. So here we are. Of course, going to start the game with a pause. Just going to get some reconnects going on. But that did free up v0te to pick up Ophelia, and especially on top of that, they already had a great, powerful lineup.
Yeah.
Ophelia, if you ever get the chance to pick up Ophelia last, why the hell not? Especially with their lineup, and it just fits so well. So, yeah, this is of course a scary team over here on our Legion side.
Yeah.
Do you think Tremble's going to go top or bottom or mid? Or
bottom. I think we're going to see actually a dual lane mid with Pyro and Glacius. Regardless, it's probably going to be that Pebbles mid, but if they do decide to go Pebbles short lane for some weird reason, even if it is a Hag, you're still going to be able to crush them with a Glacius and Glacius and Pyro mid. And so that lane right there is like one lane. All right, we don't have to worry about any other lanes. That lane is one. We also have a jungler, so that's basically a one lane. Suicide Bubbles against one, most likely. I don't count on Plague Rider going in the short lane. We've seen it sometimes. It actually might even be the better decision here, but probably going to be a Bubbles against one. If it's a Hag, Bubbles should win that.
Yeah.
So that's another one lane. You got three right now. And then bottom lane, it's Tremble against two, being probably that Plague Rider and Miraxis. He's not really going to win that lane, but at least getting levels and being able to stay alive, which he can probably do. It's essentially a one lane. So really what Pikachu is going to have to look forward to is getting a lot of levels on Tempest. He's going to be the playmaker. He's going to be the one getting most of the farm on this team. So look to Nier to make things happen in this game.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on that. Nier playing that Tempest. A note on about Gordov once again, as you did see in chat. I don't think we really brought it up, but in chat they were talking about it. Apparently he's been having some disconnecting issues, so they just decided to go ahead and replace him with Owned Me instead. So it looks like Cinder is ready, and so is the team. So here we go, putting the unpause out and going to what is again game number 3 here with Gary Johnson 2012 currently up 2-0 in this best out of 5 for DreamHack Destination DreamHack. The lanes are coming about though. Pebbles is currently setting up to go bottom with Plague Rider. Actually, that means more access solo mid. Tempest going in their jungle, Hellborn jungle, with Wretched Hag top. So
okay, so I was completely off on these lanes, but yeah, Wretched Hag still going in that short lane. Ophelia, maybe they want to do an aggressive tri-lane with this Ophelia, but she's walking up here. Bubbles has kind of side lane items as well as those 2 wards, so Ophelia not quite sure. Maybe wants to go in the offensive jungle and kind of screw up with this Tempest, but I don't know how successful, and I don't know if I really agree with that decision. I think Ophelia can farm just fine in his own jungle. They are going to see him place this ward. They put Nier place a very early ward aside, but it's not really, having that information of, oh, they warrior a pull is still not like the most useful thing. It's like, yeah, that happens all the time. Let's get a counter up. That other ward, though, that they just placed right there, Skyzo, placing it right there. It is going to block, I think, that camp, but that was spotted. That's important. That needs to get countered right away because that not only is that blocking the camp, but it also gives a vision of that rune, which is vital information. And we are going to see that Tremble bottom. I think Pikachu, not Pikachu, but Team v0te expected a dual lane mid with Plague. I thought it was going to be Plague Miraxis. Plague Pebbles just seems silly to me because right now, Pebbles is not going to get any farm. This is one of those kind of like really risky moves. Like you can do it with Miraxis because he's tanky and he shouldn't die, and he doesn't really require like, yeah, a fast portal key on Miraxis is great, but you have to get a fast portal key on Pebbles. And if he gets gimped in this bottom lane, which I think he should against this very bursty dual range lane in Pyro and Glacius, it could be really hard for him to come back. But actually, Pyro's in a lot of trouble. Gets this done, actually, though, on to Plague Rider, who did get that deny first. So being aggressive isn't really going to help this Plague and Pebbles lane early on. Yeah,
that was interesting right there. Possible initiation, but the threat of the Scorcher Pyromancer in this case kind of scares them off, missing the Dragonmire Sun, but at least got them to fall back. So now into the laning phase we go. But yeah, you talked about it. Glacius and Pyromancer. Fire and Ice going to be down here at the bottom side against Pebbles and Plague Rider. And if they're not careful, they get caught out of position a little bit too far up. That can really be deadly news for them. But at the same time, hit level 3, level 4. I mean, Pebbles and Plague Rider, they can do some decent damage themselves. So if Glacius or Pyromancer overextend, going for some kill perhaps, you could see some turnaround. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But of course, Sender able to do the pull for the beginning. As a result, the ward of the site being just a little bit too late, and as he did last time, but good job by Pebbles right there. He'll pick up the Wild Hunters, preventing the extension of the pull. Yeah. and that kind of screws them up a little bit. So, and now it's going to be double all these archers, all these minions, and it is going to start to be pushed up in favor of Pikachu now. So very good timing by Pebbles right there.
That was a really smart play by Probusk. I gotta hand it to him. A lot of players wouldn't do that, but in the meantime, this is one of those problems when the lane gets pushed up really far. Actually, Pebbles was in a lot of trouble, but Sender was not able to get that ice imprisonment off. I think he just waited too long, so kind of a...
Yeah, he was in animation, but the stalagmites just stunned him at the last second. So.
I mean, I think he wanted to get the most out of the stuns and the damage that he was getting. He actually still uses it again, but the stuns coming up again on Pyro.
Wow.
That's one of the beauties of Pyro is those cooldowns are very fast, and still we're able to get the kill on Probusk. So one of those things, I've talked about this before, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Yes, you're going to get the lane control, you're going to get the lane back, but a lot of teams, unfortunately, will stay up way too far, and because of the lane getting back and the creep is dying faster, that actually means the levels are coming up faster on the other team. So where you have that level 2, now level 3 Pyro, and still at the time you had a level 1 Pebbles, you got to watch out for that really strong aggression. And actually, they're going to spot out Tempest. They maybe saw him move into their own woods. Even Ophelia is here after being in the Hellborn woods and actually gets credit for the kill. So Nier going down a very big start for Gary Johnson.
Yeah, he adjusted at the very beginning, so we did a little bit of farm, but Pyromancer and Glacius, man, I mean, this is not a lane we see ever, but it just so happened this game it just set up that way. You said it, though. I mean, the potential's there, and it is showing off big time. Both heroes have spammable, not really spammable, but they have very short cooldowns on great damage early on in the game. Pyromancer, of course, goes effective all the way to mid-game and even into the late-game stage, but early on in that laning stage, I mean, we saw it right there with Pebbles and then running into Tempest. He had absolutely no chance of getting away as soon as that Dragonfire stun hit. It is pretty ridiculous. So, again, the power of Pyromancer and Glacius really showing, and v0te is already off to a 2-0 hero kill advantage now. So let's take a look at the other lanes, see how those are playing out. Of course, you got your Tremble versus Moraxis mid. Tremble currently 16-8 against a Moraxis who's 13-3, so slight advantage there for Keizu. And then you got Bubbles versus Wretched Hag up top here. Bubbles 10-3, Wretched Hag 15-6. So it seems like right now the only lane that's actually being won is Book playing the Hag there at the short top lane.
I still think Bubbles should actually win this lane, but he's missing a lot of creep kills, actually, unfortunately. And so, you know, Book doing a good job right now.
Ophelia's in trouble. Ophelia's in trouble. The port out at the last second. Wow, I thought for sure she was dead. The damage was adding up, but great timing on that homecoming stone. Literally one more auto attack, and she was dead. So Z-Freak able to get away despite being caught.
Who buys a homecoming stone on Ophelia?
Yeah.
And he buys another one. So, I mean, I guess it worked out there, but that is awkward. I've never seen that. Anyway, maybe he's thinking, okay, I want to be aggressive, and if I do get caught in the Hellborn jungle, I want to be able to get away. But hey, I guess this is one of those times it worked out, and he buys another homecoming stone, so maybe going to do more of the same. But yeah, this top lane, Book is actually doing quite well. Again, I still favor Bubbles. I think the damage on his auto attacks is high. The burst potential from all his spells is simply higher than that of Hags. Hags has one. Of course, he does have the Haunt, but it's easy to disjoint. If you do get the take cover, of course, Bubbles didn't get it, but you always have to expect maybe at one point in is available. So Hag does deliver a bottle. That's really the best item you can get in this Bubbles versus Hag lineup, or sorry, matchup, I should say. And he's going to regen a lot of that mana. Going to be able to spam that maybe the Sonar Scream a couple more times and take control of the lane. He is winning a considerable amount, actually.
Middle lane, Tremble, it seems like maybe some initiation, but Moraxis really just using the stomp right there. I think he went for a last hit on a creep kill as well as just harassing Tremble. But Tremble's level 6, so where is Boris? Speaking of that, I'm sure he's out somewhere. He is heading towards the top lane, actually. Boris is right now at the top rune. He's going to run into Tempest right here. The Wartesite just despawned for Pikachu, so I'm wondering if they even saw that. But you see Boris, he's going to start harassing Tempest and even getting him distracted a little bit. So here comes a mic ring coming out now from Keizu, and this is just a part of what makes him a great Tremble player, of course. But as any great Tremble player, of course, you yourself played a pretty solid one, if I might say so myself, Charles Amador.
Oh, thank you.
When you were playing, it's very, very active with that Boris, keeping attention on really all three lanes. And the possibility of being able to gank all three lanes at any given time is definitely a big threat. So, or at least being of assistance. So Keizu, of course, knows how to do that.
Yeah, and of course, Tremble has taken significant nerfs, specifically to Boris. The slow is just not nearly as much as it used to be. So the ganking potential is not as strong as it once was, but it's still there, no doubt. And Keizu does a good job of roaming around. Hag's going to be in a lot of trouble, actually. The Kelp Field is still up. The ultimate comes out. It does hit Bubbles, but there's that Kelp Field. Keeps him in place. Assistance from Boris, and Boris, a.k.a. Keizu, gets credit for that kill.
Well, right on cue. Sure enough. KZU sends the Boris up there and is able to set up a kill on a Wretched Hag as expected. So obviously a great gold advantage there for KZU as a result of even getting credit for the kill. Now Meraxis is in a little bit of trouble. Does he have a web from Boris? I believe he does. Is it going to come out in time? No, he doesn't actually. Maybe it's just not enough mana. I think he might actually just be shy. So
I think it's 100.
Is it? Okay.
Maybe it's 150.
Yeah, the 150 would make sense because obviously it seemed like he would have used it right there. There's really no reason not to, but in the end, Meraxis survives. Going to come back in, but there we go with the web shot. But it is 100, so yeah, just chose not to use it earlier. But Meraxis turning this around, may kill Boris even. But no, you see another Boris has actually respawned, and here we go again, and Bubbles will assist. And down goes Meraxis. So KZU timed that so well. He knew his ultimate cooldown was obviously off cooldown, and respawned the Boris, and that caused issues for Meraxis.
Yeah, he just used the stomp, so he took advantage of that and then went totally aggressive. And then I didn't even see Bubbles coming in, so good job by him. Of course, he went to heal right after that kill on the Hag and found an opportunity mid, and they were able to execute that well. Here comes bottom lane. They actually, Z-Freak has a Wolf Commander as well as a Vagabond. Not the best creeps, but quite good creeps actually for pushing if that's what they decide to do right now. And with Pebbles, you know, it's not really the easiest thing to do to spam this wave. And I've talked about against a deny, it's very easy to push that lane.
Yeah, you see Pyromancer doesn't have Fervor yet, actually. I thought he might have, but no, it doesn't have at least the one level to Fervor, so not going to get any dot damage. Dat damage. You see him right here. The ultimate kills Blackwater. Tempest comes in the level. Great ultimate hold himself. The Bat Blast going to set up beautifully. Not even necessary, actually. Sonos going to be Bat Blast, but the Wolf Commander will finish off the tower. So a little bit of sign of goodness there for our Legion team and Team v0te. But Pikachu, no doubt, taking out the two heroes, especially the ones that they did in Ophelia and Pyromancer. Pretty good response. We do see, however, a middle push also happening because of that, and they're going to have to try to get over there quickly. But so that was good for Pikachu, but actually getting the kill in the tower, that definitely hurts. So.
Yeah, and they used the big ultimates too. They did, obviously, wow, Plague is only level 3. Mid tower is going to go down. Meraxis actually uses that double. He uses that ultimate as well, and he's going to be in a lot of trouble. He might be tanky enough though, but there comes Bubbles doing a lot of damage. Boris in a lot of trouble though. He does fall. There's a stun from Pyro. It actually misses, I think, on the tail end. Tempest in a lot of trouble as Boris is resummoned. That slow seems to be too much. One more on attack, and Tremble does get credit for that kill.
Tremble now falling back himself. We do see Meraxis thinking about going back in, but going to be fine. Glacius got very low there, as well as Bubbles. You get to Wretched Hag was really thinking about blinking in the Sonar Scram. He wanted to finish out Bubbles, but with the mix of a possible take cover, catching him off guard. Of course, we know that he doesn't have a take cover, but as you said earlier, you do have to keep in mind at least one level of that. And then also, he would have been diving into the team, so and it could have very likely been a suicidal dive. So perhaps the better decision in the end coming out from Book, but unfortunate that they weren't even able to get any kills out of there. Well, it was a pretty well-placed Bat Blast. It got both Glacius and Bubbles. But right now, Gary Johnson, 2012, just like the first two games, they are getting off to a hell of a start here. And it's hard to find a lot of positive signs here on the Hellborn side. I mean, they do got Wretched Hag, 280 gold per minute. Book doing not too bad there. Pebbles, 228. He's got a... No, that's not him. He has the Steam Boots early on, as well as Mystic Vestments, but still well off a possible Portal Key next even. And then you have a Ring of Sorcery finished on Tempest, and then even same for Meraxis. He doesn't even have upgraded boots yet, so no PK going to be coming on him in the near future. Science not adding up too well right now for Pikachu.
Well, I mean, Glacius is contending with GPM with all of Pebbles, Meraxis, and Tempest. So that just puts into perspective of how well Gary Johnson is doing. And actually, Tempest in a lot of trouble here at the top. Jungle as a kill yet again for Tremble, actually, as he's going to boost his GPM up to about 470. Jeez. So, Sword of the High, 10 minutes in.
Yeah, no big deal. I mean, usually he goes for the Helm of the Black Legion first, but at this rate, with the lead that they have, you just got finished saying his GPM. Why the hell not? We're only 10.5 minutes in. If you can already invest into a Sword of the High after finishing your Steam Boots and have a lead that you have, why the hell not? Wretched Hag at the top lane. Going to be silenced right here. Will he be able to get away? The Boris puts a stun, but they're not going to be able to dive. And Wretched Hag may look to help turn this around with Plague Rider and Tempest porting in, but Tempest doesn't have an ultimate, and Plague Rider is only still level 5. So would it be the greatest of situations here for Pikachu to try to set up a turnaround? Definitely at least going to do one more, if not both of the heroes that are not here yet. Pebbles and Pyromancer just going at it here at the bottom lane. Of course, Swindlemelon's on Pyromancer. He's having a great game. He's got his Steam Boots, got his Ring of Sorcery. Looking very good. Meraxis is going to port top, though, so here we go. Some possible initiation. It's right now a 4 versus 4 fight. We do see TPS Priceless placing out a ward of sight here in the jungle, so very aware of Ophelia and Bubbles being here as well as whoever else roams by, but also Scorcher, Pyromancer joining the party. So all 5 members of Pikachu are here. In fact, they're going to jump on Tempest. Tempest is going to fall. He was kind of just charging in, hopefully that he could get an ultimate, but I mean, that really is just silly. We see in the background Bubbles up into the kill. Going to be coming in 1 second, missing the Quake Stun. Hits all 4 heroes. Here's a chance now for the Legion team to initiate. The Glacial down 4 coming up, and it's still going off. The Pyromancer also ultimate burns through Wretched Act. Moraxis taking the damage somewhat, but he may eventually fall as well. Pebbles in the background says, "Get off me, bro." He's going to be fine for now. Moraxis going to drop, though. Bubbles jumps in, wants to finish off Pebbles. The Song of the Sea just out of range, but they're going to fall back and take out this tower. And right now it's looking like Gary Johnson 2012 is honestly on their way to DreamHack winner.
It does look that way. They're 10K gold. There's the Mock of Brilliance, though, up for Keizu. 10K gold, over 10K gold, actually, in only 12 minutes. And, yeah, the start of that fight, I mean, Nier kind of just, like you mentioned, just charged in. They had full vision. They knew everyone was there. And as a Tempest, you really need to be one of the last ones in because your ultimate is so effective and so important. Especially when you're down this much, you need to make sure you stay alive. And I really am, again, I'm going to try to fish for signs of life from them, but it's going to be difficult. I mean, the Bat Blast is on cooldown. It was used. He's not close to level 11 anytime soon. Pebbles, I mean, how many times have I said where Pebbles has to have that easy lane? He has to have uncontested farm, or if anything, at least be in a lane where you can synergize well and actually combo your stuns and get good burst damage with kills. Can't really do that with a Plague Rider.
Yeah, and you got to think as well, I mean, yeah, well, as you said from the beginning, it would have maybe made more sense to have more access mid, or excuse me, more access bottom with Plague Rider, and then Pebbles mid instead, at the very least, go with that, to not only try to get better farm with Pebbles, but Moraxis can definitely withstand a little bit more damage, especially with that Arcane Shield. If he pops it at the right time, in this case it would have been against that, the Glacial Freeze, or the Ice Imprisonment, I should say, coming out from Glacius. If he was able to time it with that, I mean, he would have been more than fine. So, yeah, you look at the lane setup a little bit, and you got to wonder if this was the most efficient choosing of Pikachu. But in the end as well, I mean, really, Team v0te, aka Gary Johnson, 2012. They've just been looking so impressive all through the group stages. Obviously, here now in this best of 5, and really with the way that they're playing, very, very deserving of earning a possible spot, but it isn't over just yet. They're going to initiate here at the bottom lane. Pebbles taking a lot of damage. Pebbles will eventually fall, but at what cost right here? Bubbles is going to be turned around on. Can he actually get away? He's going to try, but it's not going to happen, so at least a turnaround kill. Wretched Act blinking in. It does have a Bat Blast, but not worth using it right there. So 1-for-1 exchange, but while that's happening, all the ports that were used, and Tremble's just like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and push your top tower.
Yep, and they're still putting aggression onto this Moraxis. He's in a lot of trouble. He does get that ultimate off, but look at the burst damage. The ultimate's up on Nier. He does catch 2, but is it going to be enough? Glacius might fall. A couple of attacks. No, look at those heals coming out for Glacius. The heal coming out from Ophelia. There's the burst damage. The GG actually called out, but they can't concede for another 25 seconds.
GG. Oh, talk about, you know what? I mean, I think it... Yeah, obviously, we're not in the minds of Pikachu, but I think being down the 2-0 really did get to them here in game number 3. I mean, you said it before it even happened. It sucks. I mean, knowing that in the back of your mind that you have to win 3 games even to get that chance against a very, very, very good team here, it's just, it's not looking too good. So Tremble at the top lane, there's a lot of talking going on, so it looks like he's going to be killed right here, but in the end, it's not going to matter. They haven't conceded just yet, so it's not officially a concede. But yeah, here we go with the vote to concede, and it is going to be ending here, I'm sure, as soon as they go ahead and go through with the vote. So you see Book right there. I mean, that's just great sportsmanship all around. Just admitted, you guys played well. You guys outplayed us, simply put. And anyone watching this series, I mean, I think it's hard to argue against that. Really, Team v0te, Gary Johnson 2012, they looked superb here. And no doubt going into DreamHack winner 2012, they are going to be a dangerous team now.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually, this is kind of like my new favorite team to watch because they do draft heroes that are so aggressive. Yeah. And it provides for a lot more entertainment for not only us, but you guys too. And, I mean, their lane setups were so smart. They weren't the – actually, okay, I should say they actually were a little bit sneaky because that caught me off guard. Yeah. I didn't